Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends, Tacticus is a hero collector game dressed in a Warhammer 40k skin. It allows you to use iconic characters in an engaging turn-based and hex-based combat system. The game has been around for nearly 3 years at time of recording, but new players can sometimes feel overwhelmed by how much there is to learn and how far ahead the veteran player base is. New players do, however, have one advantage. They can learn from the mistakes of others. There is no need to invest heavily in outdated meta characters. Instead, they can focus their time and resources on the most impactful heroes to progress efficiently, and that's really the motivation behind this mini-series. I'm planning this as a 3-part series to give new players the information they need to succeed and make smarter choices. This first episode focuses on arguably the most important thing for newer players: campaigns. After completing the tutorial, you'll be presented with a few character splash screens and prompted to apply upgrades to level your heroes. These upgrade materials can be earned from a variety of sources, chest rewards being the most common, though not particularly reliable for targeting specific pieces. That's where campaigns come in. At the time of recording, there are 8 distinct permanent campaigns. We'll refer to 4 of them as the base campaigns and the remaining 4 as their mirror counterparts. Both the base and mirror campaigns also have an elite component that unlocks once you fully complete it. This distinction matters. Each campaign consumes energy to play, but they are not all created equal. Base campaigns generally offer weaker drop rates for upgrades, making mirror campaigns far more appealing once unlocked. Elite campaigns provide the best drop rates overall, but they also require significantly stronger characters, a topic we'll get to shortly. So yes, you'll need strong characters to make meaningful campaign progress. That part is easy to understand, but the challenge lies in the details. Each campaign requires a core trio of 3 characters. Some of these are useful later in the game, but most are not. Overinvesting in these early campaign-locked characters can be a long-term setback, and this is where learning from past player mistakes really starts to pay off. Take the Indomitus campaign, for example. Characters like Certus and Varro currently have very little value in the endgame. Since they are among the starter characters, it's easy for new players to mistakenly pour resources into them. To borrow from Goldilocks, you want to find that just right level of investment to clear campaigns efficiently without overcommitting. Some campaigns, particularly the Imperial and Chaos campaigns, let you bring along additional allied characters to fill out the 4th and 5th slots. Characters like Bellator and Isabella are excellent here and reusable across multiple campaigns. Before diving into specifics, there is one more nuance to be aware of, something that isn't immediately obvious to newer players. Each character has faction-specific upgrades. Ultramarines require different items to the Eldari, who then require different items to the Thousand Suns. Sometimes the upgrades you need to progress are in a different campaign, or a certain upcoming stage has better drop rates for a needed material. The takeaway? As a new player, you are not told that planning ahead is this important. You can log in and upgrade what's in front of you, but before long you'll hit a wall that is going to take a while to overcome. My recommendation? Use the Tacticus Planner web app. It's an incredibly helpful resource. You can click on the Learn button at the top, navigate to upgrades, and you'll see a breakdown of all materials. From there, you can identify which factions need what upgrades and prioritize campaigns you should unlock and complete. Now that we've covered character strategy, let's walk through the individual campaigns. Snowprint has designed the campaign system so that simply playing the game and engaging with shops will naturally unlock the base campaigns first, and mirror campaigns come later. The starter campaign introduces you to the Ultramarines who face off against the Necrons. On screen, I've highlighted the most important enemy types you'll encounter. There are a few mechanics you should understand to deal with these enemies effectively. First, all Necron units have reanimation protocols, a passive trait that gives them a chance to resurrect after being defeated. This only happens if 2 conditions are met. 1, there is another Necron of the same type still alive on the battlefield, and 2, the defeated Necron was not overkilled. You'll recognize overkills by the skull icon with a slash through it. A unit is overkilled when it takes at least twice the amount of damage needed to kill it. You should therefore aim to overkill Necrons whenever possible, and it makes your life much easier completing the campaign. You'll also encounter swarm units for the first time in this campaign. These units are weak individually but require 5 hits to fully eliminate. The key here is to use blast damage or multi-hit characters. Blast attacks damage all swarm members at once, which is highly effective. Keep in mind that scarab swarms can self-replicate using their active ability. You can check whether a swarm can replicate by selecting it. If the ability on the top right is green, that means this swarm can still self-populate. Your required trio for this campaign is Varro, Bellator, and Certus. Among them, Bellator is your main carry, so focus your leveling and gear investment on him. If you are upgrading abilities, prioritize his active, which enhances his Inceptor summons. Summons are excellent for PvE since the enemy AI often targets them first, giving your main characters more breathing room. If you're adding optional characters to your team, you can bring any Imperial faction heroes. Isabella is available via starter offer and is one of the best healers in the game. She can even resurrect allies. Other starter or free-to-play options include Incisus, who's another healer, or Thaddeus Noble or Brother Burchard, both of whom have blast damage within their attacks. That said, you don't have to bring in extra characters, especially if they are underleveled. Sometimes it's safer just to run the core trio or a reduced team, since a death from a low-level character can cost you the 3-star reward for perfect clears. As for investment, for the standard campaign you can get by with all 3 characters at Bronze 1. For the Elite version, aim for Silver 1 Varro and Certus and Gold 1 Bellator. The Fall of Cadia campaign is usually the second one you'll unlock. It features the Black Legion and Chaos allies going up against the Astra Militarum. As always, I've marked the most important enemy units to keep an eye on. There are a couple of key threats. Voxcasters will continually summon guardsmen, so they should be taken out as early as possible. At higher levels, you'll face mortar and las cannon teams. These units deal huge damage from range and are often hard to reach with the Chaos faction's slower units. If you can't reach them, try to bait or void their Overwatch attacks using the threat range indicators at the bottom right of your screen. Your core trio here is Archimatos, Angrax, and Harkin. Archie is your carry. Prioritize upgrading his passive ability, which improves his Bloodletter summons, perfect for controlling space and distracting enemies. For filling out the 5-man squad, Abraxas is one of the best Chaos units in the game. He generates a lot of summons and synergizes well with Archie. Rotbone is slower, but currently the only Chaos healer, and he can help your team survive those really damaging mortar and las cannon teams. To clear the standard campaign, Silver 1 across the core trio is usually enough. For Elite, aim for Gold 1 across the board. If you have a strong Abraxas, you might be able to complete it with slightly less. Next up is the Octarius campaign, where the orcs face off against all sorts of enemies. You fight against the Black Templars and Astra Militarum from the Imperium, sometimes against the Tyranids, and other times even against other orcs. Thanks to the recent buffs, this campaign is much easier than it used to be, and most players should breeze through it. Enemy-wise, there really isn't too much to worry about. Enemies are relatively easy to deal with, and no special mechanics really stand out. One minor tip, since you're fighting both Templars and Tyranids, you can sometimes wait and let them fight each other before jumping in with your units to clean up. Your mandatory trio is Boss Gulgorts, Snapareka, and Gibbascraps. Focus your investment on Gulgorts, who is one of the best characters in the game at the moment. You will want to take his active ability as high as possible to carry you not only through this campaign, but also in the game beyond that. Gulgorts' passive is excellent too. Since only orcs are allowed, your only real reinforcements are Snotflogga and Tank Smasher. Of the two, Snotflogga is by far the better choice, maintaining value in the middle to late game. For a minimum investment, I would suggest for the standard campaign a Silver 1 Gulgorts with a Bronze Snapareka and Gibbascraps. For the Elite campaign, boost Gulgorts to Gold 1 or 2 and the other 2 around Silver 3. The final base campaign is Saim Han, where the Ealdari fight against the Thousand Suns. Even after a recent nerf, this campaign still does a great job of highlighting Eldrion's power. The key is his passive, Doom, which increases the damage your units deal to enemies exactly 2 hexes away. Positioning therefore becomes extremely important. Enemy-wise, you'll face a few challenges. Screamers love to use area of effect attacks when your units are clumped up. Try to spread out to avoid unnecessary splash damage. Pink horrors are high priority targets to kill. They hit hard, but if you don't overkill them, they'll split into blue horrors, which are even more dangerous and deal more damage. Your core trio is Athana, Calandus, and Eldryon. Of the three, Eldryon is your best long-term investment. Despite the nerf, he remains extremely useful across different game modes. Focus on upgrading his passive to make the most of Doom's bonus damage. You're limited to Eldari only characters here, so your only options if you want to add to your core trio are Jane Zar or Morgan Ra. For minimum investment for the core campaign, you'll want all three characters at Silver 1 due to how fragile Eldari units are. For the Elite campaign, bring Athana and Eldryon to Gold 3 and Calandus to Gold 1. This is the most difficult of the base campaigns, so higher investment is required. After tackling the base campaigns, it's time to dive into the mirror campaigns. These are generally harder to unlock and will often either require a bit of luck with requisitions or some extra farming of base campaign character nodes. The concept behind the mirror campaigns is simple. Here, the tables are turned, so you'll face the Ultramarines by using the Necrons instead. To be fair, you'll probably unlock the Indomitus Mirror fairly early because of the guaranteed Necron characters that the game feeds you through the tutorial and early requisitions. Your mandatory trio for this campaign is Aleph Null, Makotep, and Imospec. Aleph Null should be your primary focus. Although Inceptors counter her scarabs, I still highly recommend her active ability for its synergy with the team. Her passive ability heals your Necron units at the end of her movement, making her an exceptional healer for all mechanical units, not just Necrons. There's a nice bit of synergy between Aleph Null and Makotep. Makotep's active ability allows adjacent summons to take another turn, giving your scarabs a chance to multiply and take over the battlefield. The core Necron trio can be supported by Anufet or Thutmose, but with good positioning and strategy, the trio can handle most of the heavy lifting. For the base mirror campaign, a Gold 1 Aleph Null is probably all you need. She can summon scarabs, heal herself, and let your other units stay safely back. For the Elite Mirror campaign, I recommend a Gold 3 or Diamond 1 Aleph Null, with Silver 3 or Gold 1 core Necrons. Next up is the Fall of Cadia Mirror, where you face off against the Black Legion. While the enemies here aren't overly difficult, keep two things in mind. The primary enemy damage dealers are Bloodletters. These are glass cannon units with 0 armor. Try to eliminate them before they get into melee range. At higher levels, you'll encounter Black Legion Terminators, who can protect other units by soaking up damage. There's no real way to counter this, so just be aware when attacking. You can get by in this campaign without too much investment in the core trio, if you so choose. Of the three here, Thaddeus is the one who will likely see the most use beyond the early game in early raid teams and tournament arena. For this campaign, most of the missions are 5-man battles, so you can bring along buff Imperial allies to help carry the load. You'll likely already have characters like Bellator or Isabella from other campaigns, and both can be useful here. For investment, for the core campaign, Silver 1 should be sufficient, especially for the 5-man missions. For the Elite campaign, aim for high silver or low gold on your trio, but strong Imperial allies can help you get by with less. In the Octarius Mirror, you'll use Black Templars against Orcs and Tyranids. The enemies in this campaign aren't particularly challenging, so I won't dive into too many details. It's a pretty straightforward campaign. Burchard is tanky, and Thoriad has an active that helps keep your characters alive. You don't really need to invest heavily in these characters or their abilities early on. As with previous campaigns, characters like Isabella and Bellator can make a huge difference. They can help carry you through tougher missions while minimizing your investment in the Black Templars. For the base mirror campaign, bring the core trio to Bronze 3 or Silver 1. For the Elite campaign, you can leave them at Silver 1 and use strong Imperial characters to carry you through. If you have strong enough allies, I have heard reports of fully clearing the Elite stages with the 3 main Templars at Bronze 1. Finally, we have the Saim Hann Mirror, which pits the Thousand Sons against the Eldari. The key thing to watch out for in this campaign is the Harlequin. These enemies can jump over your units if they are clumped together and deal direct damage. They also have a dodge ability that can prevent subsequent hits if they block an attack in a chain. At higher levels, you'll face massive Wraithguard units. These units attack a target, and their passive damages any units behind. This can be particularly troublesome for the Thousand Suns, whose strategy generally relies on making a lot of summons, and therefore the Wraithguard can quickly wipe out your formation. That being said, this campaign remains relatively easy thanks to Abraxas, the best Chaos Summoner in the game. The secret is behind his active ability, which starts off by summoning a Pink Horror. The Pink Horror does psychic damage, which then triggers the active to summon another Screamer. The Screamer attacks, if possible, and now the Screamer benefits from psychic damage courtesy of Abraxas' passive. In this manner, Abraxas, if well positioned, can create 6 summons with 1 activation. Yazagor can further enhance this by moving Abraxas, allowing for even more summons and attacks, provided you have another Psyker character on your team. The core characters here are Abraxas, Yazagor, and Toph, and you can bring in any Chaos allies to help. For the base Mirror campaign, Silver 1 Abraxas is all you need to carry you through. You can leave the other characters at Bronze or Stone. For the Elite campaign, take Abraxas to Gold 2 or 3, leaving the other 2 at Bronze or Silver. I'll end the video with 2 summary slides for the base and Mirror campaigns, with recommendations on how to build each core character. You'll notice that I have specifically avoided talking about abilities too much in this video. That's intentional, and I'll focus on it a bit more in a dedicated abilities video. That wraps up the campaign video. Hopefully this guide was helpful. Be sure to check out the rest of my beginner series as we continue to prepare you for the middle game, and thanks as always to my Patreons. Bye for now.